Hello, my name's Tommy and I am an Edinburgh ghost tour guide. I've been doing the job for 10 years and I'm just on my way to work to do one of my tours, but I thought I'd pop into Greyfriars Kirkyard and have a wee look around. Now they reckon to be about 100,000 people buried in this graveyard. Just give you a wee look around here. There we go. Greyfriars in the old town in the centre of Edinburgh. And you don't have to walk very far into this graveyard to find this. Now this is a morgue safe. It's basically an iron cage built around the coffin to stop body snatchers from stealing dead bodies. Because that was a big thing that went on in Edinburgh in the 1700s into the 1800s. The doctors, student doctors at the universities needed dead bodies to practice on. You could not qualify to be a doctor in Edinburgh unless you had dissected a human body. Now, the problem was the universities were only allowed 2 bodies a year. These were the bodies of executed criminals. So the student doctors were desperate to get their hands on dead bodies. So they would pay £10 for a fresh human body to dissect, and that was about a year's wages in those days. So you got a lot of criminals scouring the obituaries looking for the latest deaths, and they would come in here late at night, dig up the dead body and sell it to the body snatchers. So that's why you have things like that, the morgue safes they're called. And if we go along here to this end of the graveyard, you'll see a much bigger example, much more fancy. Now this is someone who really didn't want to be dug up and sold to the doctors. Look at this. Now the idea behind all this was, apart from the fact you didn't want your loved one to end up on the anatomist slab, it was believed in Christian religion at that time you could not be resurrected unless the body was intact. So you didn't want to be chopped up after you were dead. But there was so much of it going on, they used to do this. Before they had the morgue safes, they used a big slab, stone slab called a morgue slab. And this would be rented out usually for a period of time until the body was rotted enough to be of no use to the body snatchers or the doctors. They would also have armed guards in the graveyards of Edinburgh who would randomly fire off a gun into the sky to frighten away people stealing dead bodies. So the body snatchers had to work very quick. And you might imagine they would dig up the whole coffin, but they didn't have time for that. So what they would usually do is work at the head end of the grave. They would dig straight down, they would snap off the coffin lid at the chest area, and they'd have a look at the body. They would refer to the body as the thing. Was the thing fresh? Was the thing rotten with pox? If it looked good and fresh and they could make some money from it, they would put some hooks with ropes under the armpits and they would drag the body up out of that small hole. They would quite often as well knock the teeth out, because you could sell the teeth to dentists to make false teeth. And it was also quite a good idea as a way of insurance. If you were caught with the body and you had to drop it and run away, you always had a pocket full of teeth to sell to the dentists. And they would have to put the bodies into sacks usually to carry them over the high walls of the graveyard. Let's have a look at the walls here. So imagine trying to climb over the walls with a body. You'd put it into a sack, and to make it fit into the sack they would quite often break the backs. So they would lie the body on the ground and jump on the spine until they heard a horrible cracking sound. Then they could fold it up into the sack and take it away. So there was a lot of that going on in the graveyards. The body snatchers, that'll put you off your dinner.